Let's talk about digital ID. I mainly lived in England, but I also spent time in China, where digital ID is everywhere. And it's obvious to me that the English people, the British people, are being told a lie about what really digital ID is about. Right now, they're telling you it's to stop illegal migration, to stop illegals from working, and to be able to provide easier access to services. But these are all manufactured issues, and they're being used as excuses to convince you that digital ID is the solution.
For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. We do need to know who is in our country. This government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work.
But it doesn't make any sense. We already have passports, national insurance numbers, and right to work checks when you look for a job, when you apply for a job. Illegal migrants can still find work because their employers are not asking for ID. They know it's illegal. So by introducing further measures, it only applies to ordinary people. And I think the Prime Minister and the people involved in this project, they know that people are not buying it, because now they are shifting their tone. They're making it sound like it's for you, so you can have easier access to public services.
Not least because it means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the huge benefits that this will bring. There needs to be a national debate about it. And I think that the more people see the benefits that come with this, the more, as has happened in other countries, people say, that will make my life easier, and therefore I want to get on with it.
In China, they don't try to sugarcoat it. Everyone knows it's about surveillance and control. But it works for China because it's authoritarian by design. Everyone has agreed to have freedom within boundaries. They know what they can say, what they can't say, and what they can't do. And what happens when they cross the line. Because the law has consequences and people stay within it. It's strict, but it's predictable.
Out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiao Wen-Wang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water.
But that's not going to work for the UK. The mindset, the people are very different. This is the birthplace of Magna Carta. We don't want big government. They're trying to sell you the idea of modernization and efficiency, but that's not the end goal. I think they're trying to create a centralized digital footprint for everybody, linking your money, your movement, and all your records. This way, they can find new ways to tax you more. Because that's what the UK government is run on. Taxes from you. That's why I think in the UK, if everyone is subjected to a digital ID, it'll be worse than China, because they're running out of options. We already have one of the highest tax rates in the world, 45%. And there's only so much more they can raise from that. Eventually, once digital ID kicks in, it will make it easier for them to be able to tax your assets, a wealth tax. And if more countries sign up to this, just leaving the UK wouldn't be enough, because there'll be cooperation, there'll be cross-border taxes with digital ID making it easier. In China, digital ID connects everything, from your travel cards, to your banks, to what food you order from delivery apps. If you break the law, break the rules, they can restrict access to your services and freeze your accounts, because everything is made digitally. 99% of China doesn't use cash anymore. Everything is digital on your phone, mobile payments, and it's all linked to a digital ID. Once digital ID comes in and everything is digitalized and centralized, they'll know how much you have and how much they can take from you. This is very worrying for the UK because this is supposed to be a democracy. But over the past year, 12,000 people have been arrested for offensive comments, and that's before digital ID comes into place. Once it's introduced, every comment, every post will be linked back to your digital ID. So my thoughts are, it's not going to work for the UK, and it's not in the best interest of its people.
All right.
Well, manufacture crisis. You manufacture crisis to usher in a government savior, right? But it's about control. Think, oh, this is a good thing for you. This is a good thing. Hey, we got to deal with this illegal immigration, these kind of things, or whatever. Set up the crisis and come in as the savior. It's a tired game that's been played by governments, but it's stepping up because it's Satan's plan.
Wow.
And right now it's kind of like the boiling frog. They're just, that frog is in the water, just slowly turning up the heat on until he gets, little by little, it's turned up to full control is taken over. Yeah, it's part of the plan. We understand prophecy. This is just some of the means they're going to try to bring about this one world government and control of the people.
So quickly, I want to play this video before we get to the next remark. I think this video is interesting. I think this is Sweden. They're taking this even further than just the digital ID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll show you.
No sound. I don't know if there is sound.
When Elias Brotberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID. And he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
Like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all on chip. So I use it like to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks. Exactly. So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip and it will log me in. And from there I get access to the fridge.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards,
which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
Process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it will be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
When microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality.
Go ahead, Justin.
I always wonder. Back in I guess the late 1800s, we know that a Sunday law could have been passed in Ellen White's day, and God sent A.T. Jones to Congress to argue against that, and through God's grace, that was delayed. But it was very clear that the world was very prepped. This country was prepped for a national Sunday law. They were pushing for that, and I always wondered, how would that have worked out, being that they had none of the technology we have today, but clearly it could have happened. And then the end, and the events would have come on, the end would have came, and so forth. And so when I see this stuff, I both recognize, yep, this is going to make it super easy for the market to be system to implement no buying, no selling. But then part of me also thinks, like, I feel like we're already there and we've been there for some time. Because I'm telling y'all, like, I used to work for Bank of America, man. I was a senior fraud analyst. And I'm telling you, as an analyst, I had a lot of information on individuals. Like, I knew where you lived 10 years ago. Like, I could find that out. I could shut down if I thought there were shut down everything. Card, you can't No ATM, everything's shut to the point where you have to go into the bank and prove to the bank manager that you are who you say you are. Like,
Wow.
back then, it was super, and that was only a few years ago. And even prior to, I still think, it's relatively very easy. I think maybe now they're trying to get a central system that goes cross country, like that's international. But the capability is already there. So when I see this stuff, it's like, okay, for sure, it's gonna make it even easier. But we're there already, and so I kind of wonder, like, okay, so what is holding up this kind of final crisis? And I really do believe it's us. I believe what Matthew 24 says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached into all the world as a witness, and then the end will come. And I really do believe the end could have came, a Sunday law could have been passed, but God's people isn't ready to give this final loud cry message of the third angel of righteous by faith to the world. So they have an opportunity to choose God and not the beast. So I'm not pouring water on this at all. It's just that I've learned over the years to look at this and say, okay, for sure, we gotta, if anything, I'll say this, if anything, this is giving us information on how we need to practically prepare. I'll say that much. I think this we should be informed, and we definitely, like Connor Vine says this all the time, get out of debt, get your country property, don't be so dependent on the system, the practical things. I think this helps us practically to prepare. But whether we have digital ID or not, that crisis can't come until God has a group of people who is ready to give this last message, because God's not going to allow this final test to happen and the world is not prepared to take it. So that's my thoughts on that. But I think it's still great information, practically speaking, to be pragmatic and recognize what's coming and what can we do with God's wisdom to deal with that.
Justin, you spot on when you said that system is already here.
Yeah.
And I think there is this level of fear mongering that people are worrying about. Oh man, I can't believe they're trying to do this digital ID business. But I'm like, I think ever since credit cards started, like the debit card started, we were already cooked.
Well done, brother. Well done.
It's like we've been primed. And
the frog is boiled, are you saying?
We've been listen,
a long time ago, man. If you got this phone, you're cooked, man.
You're done. This is a dessert. This is not even the full course meal. They're already eating the full course meal. They're having dessert with this digital ID business. So I think they are 100 steps ahead of us than we realize.
For sure. Yeah.
When you read Revelation 13, the Bible is talking about, of course, there has to be a system where they can control the buying and selling. Like, how do you get to no man might buy or sell save he? Like, in other words, this has to be international, right? For no man to be involved, international. My buy or sell, that means there has to be total control to even bring about an economic boycott.
Yep.
Right. And there has to be a different consensual. People have to agree to it. So you who have it. So if you don't agree, you can't get it. So it's not going to be just deceitful. People are going to make decisions to go along with that system.
Right.
For those benefits, And again, there's going to be the death decree that's going to be attached to it, because if you're going to be killed. So people are going to have that, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my life kind of thing. So there has to be some crazy, bad enough crisis to bring people to their knees to even accept this, because the average person in UK right now, they are protesting. We are not having it. But with the right crisis, that could change.
That's what this is. They're setting up a structure to have in place, so when they bring the economic crash, there's something they can turn to, and all those that didn't get on board are going to be forced to get on board.
Exactly.
It's already in the works. I mean, we don't need to be all up in arms about it. Is what it is. We just need to it's about our Father's business.
Amen.
That's right. One of the things I was thinking is, what is the solution to a digital ID? Justin, you've already touched it. Cash payment. Every time you swipe your credit card, you're feeding that system.
Yeah.
So they can only make it because we are depending on the digital payment much. And I'm guilty as charged here. But cash payment, there's been said, when you do use cash, you push back against it that way. Another thing that they're also finding out, there are a number of communities, even in Germany now, they are moving out of the cities. Oh, look at that! They're moving into the country and they're growing their own food and products. They're finding out these communities are doing even better financially, and that's gonna be a future video. I'm working on it too. But it's like
Definitely.
the very counsels we are given in the spirit of prophecy that we've neglected are actually the solution to the system. So, growing your own food, because you can't just ID your tomatoes and your plantain. Can you do that?
Hey, don't give them any ideas, man.
And everybody needs those. So in other words, you gotta get ahead of the system that we are depending on.
That's going to be in the seeds.
Mercy.
So that's the two: is the country, growing your own food, and there's another thing that they're talking about too. And I've done some research on this: people who are handiwork.
Yes, trade.
Pastor Milam, Bands of Brothers. They're finding out if you can fix things, whether it is houses, flooring, roofing, and refrigerator. Those type of skills are gonna become extremely important. And the health message that we practice.
Oh yes.
During those times, those people are gonna be elevated and exalted because in those systems, it's gonna make it impossible because these people are gonna be shut down and shut up. So if you can get a health expert or anybody who's been trained medical line of medical missionary, these individuals become extremely valuable. So the health message, country living, growing your own food, more cash, is one of the ways you fight back against this system. So God already has a solution to this. We don't have to be afraid of it, but we need to stop depending on these things because these are the reasons why they can actually do that. It's because we depend so much on that. Go back to Eden is the solution.
Amen. And to that point, I know because some folks may say, hey, they can find you in the country, y'all. Like there's no place on earth where these folks cannot find you. But it's not to hide away. It is to slow the progression of the influence that these systems have on us. When they pass that death decree, we're in the care of God and the holy angels. But remember the prophetic picture here, right? The point of the beast system is to pressure people into conforming to its laws. So the death decree doesn't come first. Go back to the pandemic. What started? It's first bribery, incentive, right? Oh, we'll pay you this. We'll do this. You win these prizes, whatever. Movie
donuts.
Yeah, remember the don't get me started. But first, it's the incentive. Then it's the threats. Right? It's the pressure. It's like, oh, we're going to fine you and imprisonment. It's a social pressure of people now cutting you off from ridicule and condemnation and all these different things. And then then they'll hurt you financially. Well, we'll fire you, or we're going to close your bank account, or now you can't buy yourself. And it's progressive. And then you get to the actual death decree. And so remember the prophetic picture. When these events begin, we have no clue how long that's going to take. It could be a few months. It could be a year. It could be a few. We don't know. But God practically is telling us, if you begin to wean yourself off the system, if you become, I don't think anyone, unless you go 100% full off grid in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, which I don't even think that's what we're counseled to do, to be honest with you. The point is, when we're in this time, we are able to preach the gospel and reach souls for Christ for as long as possible because they can't shut us down as quickly, right? We are not sitting there trying to figure out how to put food on the table because we're dependent on Walmart versus, hey, we've grown our provisions, or we're in a community of believers in which we support it. You see what I'm saying? And so the practical part is so that we are positioned in a way to give this last message to a dying world during that time. It is not to somehow stop what's coming from, because we can't stop it. It's just helping us deal with the crisis when it comes, and we'll be able to be better positioned to reach souls for Christ during that crisis. But like I said, the progression of these things, again, put yourself back in the pandemic. Remember how it felt when your job was threatened. Remember how it felt when maybe you wouldn't be allowed to go to the grocery store because you didn't have the vaccine. Remember how that felt. Now think if you were more self-sustainable, that pressure, you wouldn't feel it as much. And so that's the whole point of the counsel that we're given when we're dealing with
Look, you know the Great Depression in the United States. It hit the people in the cities very hard.
Yes.
But those that were out in the country, they had their food, they had all they needed. If you want, I mean, there was a TV show about that, the Waltons. The Waltons during that time, they had a bunch of kids in one house. They had to live in one house, but they had all their food and all these things. But if you study the Great Depression, you'll find that the rural people fared a lot better than the city people. My grandparents were a prime example. My grandfather lived rurally and they did all right. My grandmother lived in the city and they were dirt poor and couldn't afford anything.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's history repeating itself in that way.